the week of March 13th, 2022. This is Mojo Weekly. I'm John.
Table for two, please. I'm Josh.
Table for two. Josh, you're back. How was your week off?
Hell. No, I'm kidding. It was great. EverCon went really, really well. We had a few big obstacles in our way, but the show overall was fantastic. We had over 1,200 people show up, so I'm fucking stoked, man. It's been great.
Yeah, I had 1,200 people, and 3 of them were watching my stream.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I tried streaming too, and I only had like 1 or 2 as well. But while you're streaming and messaging me saying, hey, host us, you fool, I was literally battling back a flood coming into my game room. So no, I didn't have the moment needed to help you out there, pal. But all in all, it was a great success. It was fun. We had a few little things that popped up. Who'd have known? We move our convention to March, and it rains literally all day Saturday and creates a crazy monsoon out in the parking lot. So
that's nuts.
Awesome times. It's always something.
Anything
if it's not EverCon, it's MGC. Oh, absolutely not. Maybe the building a little bit. There was actually a leaky roof at one point too.
Well,
but no, none of my games. Nothing. Not my problem. No, none of our games or anything got damaged. Nothing like that. The flooding area, or the area that started getting pretty wet, was actually pretty close to Rock Band. So about the only thing that got any remote bit of water on it was like the kick drum part for the Rock Band set. That was about it.
Right.
Everything else is up high. So.
All right, you ready for some news?
Good to go. Absolutely. I heard there's a blockbuster announcement.
I wouldn't call it blockbuster, but we'll
I don't know.
Overselling it here. We had a Sony State of Play this past week, and we're going to focus primarily on that because there was a lot of stuff. Not necessarily any blockbuster stuff, but some good stuff. So Capcom revealed a new game, a new franchise potentially, called Exo Primal. And it's coming to the PS4 and PS5 next year. This is not the Dino Crisis game that you were looking for. It does have dinosaurs.
Aww.
It does have dinosaurs, but it is not Dino Crisis. They've basically taken it's a multiplayer game, online multiplayer game. At least that's what it looks like. And they've replaced zombies with dinosaurs, basically. It looks like zombies just come pouring in from another dimension or something. Just like, I'm talking hundreds of dinosaurs. And you're just taking out dinosaurs with your gigantic Gears of War style machine gun.
So it's like Dynasty Warriors X Dino Crisis.
Maybe.
Did anybody enjoy the Dino Crisis games? Like, really? People enjoyed those?
Fnary did in our chat room. He's dying for more Dino Crisis. Every time Capcom announces something, he's like, I want to see Dino Crisis. A lot of people want to see a Dino Crisis remake in the same vein as like the Resident Evil remakes they've been doing. I've never played Dino Crisis, so I have no sort of like attachment to it whatsoever. So if they never release another Dino Crisis game, I don't think I would care.
No, same. I remember playing them and trying them with friends, and they were like, it's just like Resident Evil, but with dinosaurs. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Yeah.
This is also coming to the Xbox and PC as well. So we saw another trailer for Ghostwire Tokyo, and I still don't know what this game is. Looks interesting. It's got an interesting vibe. I have no idea what it is. I saw today that there is like a trailer or a video that has like 18 minutes of Ghostwire Tokyo footage. I might check that out just to see what the game actually plays like. Because it's got some serious like stylistic trailers out there, but they don't give me any indication as to what it actually is. It's some sort of horror open world adventure, but I don't know much about it.
That's cool.
We got another trailer for Stranger of Paradise, the Final Fantasy Origin game, developed by Team Ninja. Coming out this week,
really?
Man. Yeah, coming out this week.
Whoa.
So
what?
Yeah.
This week?
This coming week. There is a demo on the PlayStation Store, so you can go check that out right now, Josh.
I'm out of here. Give me that demo.
Yeah.
So this is that Final Fantasy Origin story? Is this one? Is that what you're talking about? that I keep hearing about?
It's called Final Fantasy Origins: Stranger of Paradise or something like that.
Is this the first Final Fantasy Origins game, or is there other ones?
I have no idea. It stars that remarkably bland looking dude. He just looks completely unremarkable. Like, he was shopping at the Gap and they were like, "Hey, you want to be in this game?"
Sure.
It's an interesting thing. I don't know much about it. And that's why people tune in, for me to say, I don't know much about it over and over again.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah. So there was news this past week that game Forspoken had been delayed from May to October. And in order to salve that wound, apparently, for the people who are just dying for this game, they released a pretty cool looking trailer. It just shows the protagonist. Her name is apparently Frey, roaming around the open world, taking on, dragons and shit, and zombies and whatnot. Lots of cool effects in this game. Looks pretty neat, graphically speaking. Gameplay wise, that has yet to be seen.
So you said Forsaken, like the N64 game?
Nope, Forspoken. I don't even know. Is that a word? Is that a made up word? That sounds like a made up word. Something Forspoken. Get out your dictionary.
I don't know.
Is
I'm not really sure.
in the dictionary? I feel like that's made up.
Forspoken.
I
think it's the thing I think that's a Forspoken is what's taken care of when they have the circumcision, right? Forspoken.
Maybe.
Right?
I was thinking like those sweet dirt bikes when we were kids that had the 4 big plastic spokes. So that wheel is Forspoken.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a BMX game. I'm into this. I'm cool. This will be fun.
Hopefully it's a sequel to BMX Triple X. That'd be awesome.
Right? Or Uniracer. We need more of those.
Let's tangent for a moment. Whose idea was it to make a titty BMX game? That is insane. Whoever came up with that idea, it should have just been run right out of society. Like, okay, we've got this BMX game. What if everybody was topless?
Exactly. Why wouldn't that work?
I don't know.
That's like printing your own money.
It's like the most desperate thing I've ever seen. Like, we're about to go out of business. I don't think this game is going to sell well. What's going to help? I don't know. Put boobs in it. Done.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be the Metal Gear Solid 6. Konami's on their way out.
Yes.
They're gonna be like, let's do topless Snake.
Yeah, they give Snake a boob job. He just run around. Metal Gear.
This is what we need from you modders. Get on it.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any interest in the Gundam franchise? Gundam.
I don't know. I was in the Gundam store while I was in Fukuoka, Japan, and it was pretty freaking awesome. I don't know anything about it. Buddy. I'm like, you go Fukuoka yourself. It was amazing looking. The statues are beautiful. I mean, I was next to like a 16-foot statue of a Gundam. I'm like, wow, they're all kind of like Voltron, but more generic. Cool. Yeah. Like, I don't know much about it. It seems pretty cool, though. If you're into it, you're into it.
Now you can learn more about it because Gundam Evolution is now coming to the West later in 2022. It is a competitive 6 versus 6 online FPS featuring all the giant mechs from the Gundam franchise. There's a network test coming this spring, Josh, and it's going to be on both the PlayStations and Xboxes.
Ooh, that's kind of fun. I wonder if it'll be like Bulk Slash was on the Saturn. That's a fun game.
Yeah. Here's your news of the week. Ready?
I'm ready.
TMNT, the Cowabunga collection. This is cool.
That honestly is big news. It's very cool.
Yeah. It features 13 classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games.
That's pretty freaking cool.
So it's got the NES original TMNT, the one that you and Pickle Friction love so much.
It's a good game.
It's got the arcade game. It's got Tournament Fighters. It's got Back from the Sewer. It's got Turtles in Time, Fall of the Foot Clan, the Manhattan Project, Radical Rescue, and the Hyperstone. It's even got the Game Boy games in there. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yep, that's crazy.
It's a hell of a collection.
There's the the original 4. I was going to say 3, but the original trilogy on the NES. Then you got the 4th one, which is Tournament Fighters NES. Yeah. Then you got the 2 Genesis games, which is the Hyperstone Heist and their version of Tournament Fighters. Then you have the Super Nintendo Turtles 4 and their version of Tournament Fighters. And then you have 3, the trilogy on the Game Boy. And the craziest thing, and I believe too, and from what the trailer showed, is it's got the arcade game version, like the arcade 4-player version of the arcade game, which was Turtles 2 on the NES, and then also the arcade version of Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. So that's another 4-player game. So the biggest thing, I saw this trailer and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's cool. But when they were showing gameplay, like they were showing the actual gameplay of each of the games, it had the original music. I don't know what sea they had to part to get Nickelodeon and Konami to come together with all that licensing bullshit because of the music. Because, man, years ago when those Turtles, there's a trilogy of Turtles game that came out on like the PS2 and Xbox and GameCube era. They were like, oh, if you beat the game, you can unlock a classic arcade game. And it was like, oh my God, this is awesome. You can unlock Turtles in Time and you can unlock the arcade game or whatever. And it was like, oh, this is be so fun. We can play them on our Xboxes and PS2s. But the music was all butchered and broken, and it was not the same music, and it was like, this just doesn't feel right. There's something wrong with this. So like, obviously we'll find out if this all comes to true reality and we'll actually have these games as they were originally intended and originally created. But this is really big. Like, something happened where Konami got the rights to use this music again, and fuck yeah, I'm very excited about it.
You know, Konami has become basically, well, I mean, other than a pile of shit, but they've basically become like a legacy publisher, right? Which is I'm kind of okay with, right? As long as they keep doing it, you know, and they keep treating their classic franchises with some sort of reverence. If they put out, you know, the Castlevania collections have been good. The Contra collection was good. All that stuff has been good. They put out the goddamn TurboGrafx Mini, you know, for Christ's sake,
which is crazy.
It's crazy good. If they keep doing stuff like that and actually not putting out just half-ass ports and like broken bullshit, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Just how about some Hudson, Konami? How about some Hudson? Don't forget you own a little bit of Hudson. You own some Hudson stuff.
How good would a Bomberman collection be? Like, if you went from fucking Game Boy, or you know, the Game Boy and the Nintendo era, Turbo, Genesis, Super Nintendo, all the way to the Saturn. Oh, even throw in the N64 Bomberman games. I'd be cool with it. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Exactly. If they just keep releasing nothing but legacy collections, I'm cool with it. Totally cool with it, because
absolutely
all those games are great.
They're awesome.
And every time they try to update it, it's usually just meh. You know, like the new Bomberman games have been you know, not awful, but just not great.
Not awful. I like Super Bomberman R. I like it enough to have played through it, but I know what you mean, man. It's like, oh, okay.
All right. This next one looks interesting. I don't know that I'll get it, but I'm a big fan of, you know, just giant monsters destroying shit, you know, Godzilla style. This game is called Gigabash, and it's a kaiju brawler. Coming to the PS4 and PS5. You know, it just looks like Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. You know, it just looks like a bunch of giant-ass monsters fighting in the middle of a city. So you can play 4-player battles between giant kaiju monsters. You know, like I said, it takes place amongst like skyscrapers and whatever, and everything gets wrecked, and you can pick up your giant monster and chuck them up against a building and watch the building fall over and stuff. Looks like big, dumb fun. Cool. I like big, dumb fun.
And what is it called?
Gigabash.
Oh, yeah, Gigabash. You know what would be cool? Is if it was called King of Monsters 3. I'd buy it then. You know that? I'd be down. I'd be down for that. They need to bring a King of Monsters Part 3. That'd be great.
What's your familiarity with Jojo and his bizarre adventures?
Not great. I played a little bit of the Dreamcast Capcom fighting game. But that's about it. My kids love it, though. My kids are like, "Oh, it's hilarious! It's fun! It's dirty!
I've never watched the anime. I've never watched any of the anime, nothing like that. I'm interested. So JoJo, he's coming back. This is JoJo's All-Star Battle R. It's called. You can play as 50 different characters from the universe of JoJo and his bizarre adventures. It's got all the wackiness and the kind of same visual style. It looks like kind of a visual style like the most recent Samurai Showdown game. where it's a little bit animated, like cell shaded almost, with like, I don't know, kind of 3D, but not. It's kind of got that same visual style. There's a new trailer for the samurai game Trek to Yomi, which looks a lot like Ghost of Tsushima, but in 2D. A side-scrolling hack and slasher, all in black and white. So it's got that classic Kurosawa samurai movie look.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely beautiful. And a lot of one-on-one sword combat. And it's coming this spring to the PS4 and PS5. Looks cool. I'm going to wait for reviews because the enemy AI looked a little suspect to me from the trailer, but I'm still interested.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Then we've got a Returnal update called Returnal Ascension. I don't care about Returnal, so whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ascension. What a generic, like, ooh, Mech Warrior 4 Ascension.
Didn't we just have a game called The Ascent, just literally a few months ago? But anyway, it's a big update. Features 2-player campaign co-op, which I guess that's pretty neat. That is a pretty big update. Brand new survival mode where you'll have to scale a tower and, the rooms change and all that stuff, Coming out in 2 weeks. So it'll be out very quickly.
Nice. That's awesome.
Got a new strategy RPG from Square Enix. It's called, in classic Square fashion, it is called the Diofield Chronicle. What's with these names, guys?
At least it's not triangle strategy or some shit like that.
Like fucking hexagon strategy.
Strategy.
Yeah. It's a strategy RPG. Gave me serious Fire Emblem vibes looking at it. Looked a lot like Fire Emblem. It's a 3D, a 3D game strategy. Like I said, about 3 kingdoms. Hey, Fire Emblem 3 houses, very similar.
Hey,
anyway,
wow.
Also coming to Switch and Xbox and PC.
Well, that sounds like fun.
And then finally, also coming from Square Enix, is a game called Valkyrie Elysium, which is part of the Valkyrie Profile series. It's been since 2006 on the PS2 that we've seen a Valkyrie Profile game.
Shit, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not realize that.
Looks really, really good. I'm kind of interested in it. It's got third-person action kind of stuff. Gave me a bit of a Nier Automata vibe, a little bit, but more of a fantasy setting.
Sure.
Third-person kind of magic and hack and slash kind of stuff. Looked pretty cool. I'm going to keep my eye on this one. It's coming to the PlayStations in 2022. So as long as it doesn't get delayed, should be seeing it pretty quickly.
That's awesome.
That was it, man. That was the state of play. It was over pretty quick. It was about 20 minutes. Not a lot of huge news, but still kind of some fun stuff in there, especially that turtle stuff for us old men who just like bathing in nostalgia and letting it wash all over us. It's our porn, basically. Yeah. Nostalgia porn.
Yeah. Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
You mentioned pre-show. A little bit of news is that Advance Wars 1 and 2, the remake, has been delayed due to the fact that Nintendo thought maybe releasing a war game in the middle of a really horrible war might not be the best idea.
Yeah,
I get it. But they'll release it at some point, won't they?
I hope so. Yeah.
So that, bummer, but I get it. And that was really, really about it. That was our news this week. All right. With that, let's head over to the new releases.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, we got some stuff this week. We got some really interesting stuff that I am actually kind of excited for. The first one is Grand Theft Auto 5 is getting the next gen update this week.
Neat.
The highest selling video game of all time, getting the next gen upgrades for those who are interested in that. Phantom Breaker Omnia for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. The Cruel King and the Great Hero for the PS4 and Switch. So there you go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Paradise Killer for all the PlayStations and the Xboxes. This one I've heard a lot about. Not so interested in. This next one, though, man. This one I'm jacked for. It's going to be coming to Game Pass. Tunic. You know about this one?
I do not.
It is the Zelda-like, starring the cute little fox.
Oh, yes.
Looks wonderful. I've seen all sorts of footage over the years. It keeps looking better and better. With every subsequent trailer that they release, it looks like they're making improvements. I will be downloading this game on the 16th right away when it comes out. Very cool. Excited to finally power up my Xbox again and play something on it.
Oh, so it's on Game Pass, huh?
I believe so, yeah. This will be coming to Game Pass.
Nice.
Here's one. Anno Mutationem. I don't know, man. PS4 and PC. Monster Energy Supercross 5.
Oh my god, this sounds amazing.
Get jacked!
Get jacked, bro. You heard about Forspoken? Well, fuck that game. It's time for Monster Energy.
Supercross 5. This is on everything but Switch.
What a bunch of shit. Why?
Man,
it's just
too much energy. Whatever. Too much energy for the Switch.
It's not. The little chip just can't contain all the fucking energy that you're going to get in Monster Energy Supercross 5. Get your shit together. Get a PS5. To the extreme.
Persona 4 Arena Ultimax for PS4, Switch, and PC.
Persona 4?
Yeah, it's a fighting game. The Persona 4 Arena games are fighting games, and by all accounts, very good fighting games.
Oh. All right.
Coming to Switch and PS4 and PC. Shredders coming to Xbox and PC. And then
is that
finally,
is that like a motion controls? Like you're just shredding cheese?
That'd be great. That'd be great. I was thinking like
Shredders,
a skateboarding game or a turtle spin-off or cheese grating. Maybe you can even like shred some ginger. Grate some ginger.
Grate some ginger. Yeah,
or maybe
that would be called.
Maybe it's like tax evasion, and you're like shredding paper before the IRS gets there,
Oh my God. Yeah. We should be producing this stuff. We're idea guys.
That's a fucking good game right there where you're just like some white collar criminal and you have to get all your paperwork out of the file cabinets and into the shredder before the IRS knocks on your door. That'd be fucking awesome.
And then we just do like a trailer and it's just Wesley Snipes and he's like, buy this game.
That's a fucking Wesley Snipes reference. Nice. And then finally, we mentioned it already, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin for everything but the Switch. So
I would check that out. And you said it's by Team Ninja? That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it got
fucking weird.
It took a lot of shit when the first trailer was released because the trailer was like just ridiculous with the dialogue. But after the demo came out, people were like, actually, this is pretty fun. Like, I dig this.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a new demo out there, like I said before. So check out the demo if you're interested. Speaking of dudes who are interesting and things that are interesting, it's Dale. He's an interesting dude. And here he is with the retro recap.
Hey, what's up, MoJoWeekly listeners? This is Dale, and welcome back to this week's recap of the latest retro re-releases, remasters, and remakes. As always, credit for this goes to GSK from Retronauts.com, StrictlyLimitedGames.com, and LimitedRunGames.com. Before we get started, as John and Josh have already likely informed all of you, we are in the midst of Shmup Appreciation Month. Stay tuned to Twitch channels for Josh, John, Pickle Friction, and myself for Shmup live streams every day this month. Additionally, I'm also running weekly high score challenges. This week we are currently score chasing in Ryden, with a couple days left to post your high score with 1 credit by the time this airs. You can find links to all this info in the Mojo Menace forums under the weekly Shmup Appreciation thread. So with that out of the way, on to this week's releases. Hitting digitally, we will start with this week's Arcade Archives release for the 1981 Taito arcade classic, the puzzle action title Kicks, spelled Q-I-X, but pronounced Kicks, as GSK handily notated. GSK also notes that Kicks will be part of the Taito Milestones collection that will be releasing next month with 9 other games, so unless you are a diehard Kicks fan, it may be better to follow the adage of patience is a virtue in this case. My personal favorite F-Zero game, F-Zero X, is arriving on the N64 channel on Switch this week for the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass subscribers. Make sure to go to town in that addicting death race mode where the goal is to knock everyone off the track. It's awesome. You get to take in the best thrashing soundtrack for the Series 2, well, of which you are currently listening to as this week's background music. Moving on, .hack.gu Last Recode hits the PS4 and PC a few years ago, but this collection of the hit Mock MMO series is out now on Switch this week for $50. It collects all the entries released in the .hack.gu series that originally released in 2006 and 2007, and adds in remastered visuals, quality of life gameplay updates, and new content. A port of the recent officially endorsed fan remake of Chex Quest, called Chex Quest HD, is out this week on Switch for $5, but it is worth to note that it is already free on PC if you want to go that route instead for this family-friendly take on the Doom Deathmatch engine. The Chrono Trigger release for mobile and PC that hit a few months ago was riddled with bugs, but according to GSK, Square Enix has released a patch this past week that addressed many issues and gets it into a more tolerable working state for what it's worth. Finally, John Romero released a new level/WOD, whatever you want to call it, for Doom 2 that costs only €5, with all proceeds going to assist with aid for Ukraine. So there's links for where to download this on this week's Mojo Menace Retro Releases recap. So, and also, just announced yesterday was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection hitting later this year that collects all the arcade 8 and 16-bit Turtles games. 13 different ports altogether, even the Game Boy games and the NES port of Tournament Fighters. It's actually kind of alright. I played it before. The 2 arcade games, Hyperstone Heist and the SNES version of Tournament Fighters, will all have online play for what it's worth. It's a hell of a package for $40, but this is all presuming that Konami and the developers at Digital Eclipse don't mess it up. So please don't mess this up, Konami and Digital Eclipse. So that's all for this week. I'll throw it back to you, John and Jayesh.
Josh, Dale brings up a good point. You and I have not nearly spent enough time talking about Shmup Month on this podcast. So funny. And we're about to make up for that a little bit. But for those who are not aware, March is every year, and for the past, long time we've been doing this, probably almost 15 years, Intergalactic Shmup Month. Every March, we just spend the month talking about shmups, playing shmups, doing high score challenges, friendly ones. Yep. Friendly high score challenges. None of us are hardcore, like diehard players here. And just trying to bring more awareness to one of our favorite genres that tends to kind of get overlooked in today's day and age.
Right.
So Pickle Friction, Dale, and myself have been streaming shmups every single day this month, and we will be streaming shmups every single day this month. The channels are Joshua Turbo. These are on Twitch. The channels are Joshua Turbo, Pickle Friction, GF Gruel, and of course, Mojo Menace. It's been fun, man. And, even if you're not into shmups, which after watching all this, you will be. But even if you're not into shmups, it has simply just been fun hanging out. Being absolutely. In the chat room, goofing around, pissing off Pickle Friction, that kind of stuff. It's been great. Trolling Pickle Friction. I mean, he's like the most mellow, laid back, lovely guy on the planet. But every now and then, something gets stuck under his craw, and you're just when
you tell him for the 83rd time in 1 minute about how shitty Battletoads is, he's gonna get hot. He's gonna get hot, brother.
It's not quite that extreme, but yeah. Point taken.
Pretty close.
Nevertheless, it's been super fun and just popping on. And I thought I knew a lot about shmups. Like I said, I'm not an expert player, but I thought I knew a lot about shmups. I have discovered a lot of shmups this month that I had never even heard of.
Yeah.
Thanks to watching the streams that you and Pickle and Dale have been doing. So
yeah, it was really cool. Just like you had mentioned, just exploring new games, just looking up the genre of shoot 'em ups on Steam alone to find like $5 to $6 games. I think one of the best surprises that I've gotten so far, and this is what I streamed this last Tuesday night, was Zero Ranger, which is on Steam. I think it was like $7.99, and it is a fucking blast. Like, it's such a good shoot 'em up, and it's so well done, and it's a vertical shoot 'em up, and it's got tons of homage to like Gradius and R-Type and Darius. It's like the themes of the levels and everything, and you literally fight the Vic Viper, but it's not called the Vic Viper. You literally fight the R-type ship, and it's not the R-type ship, but it is. They act the exact same way, and they look the exact same way, and they are called one's called like Arto Typo or something like that, and then the Vic Viper is called Arc Avenger or something like that. It's great. It's really cool, and being able to do that kind of stuff has just been a blast. Pickle's been playing every single Genesis shoot 'em up, which has got to be miserable because there are a lot of really bad shooters on the Genesis.
There's some stinkers.
There's also some great ones. There's some great ones. He made a list of his top 10 favorite that I'm going to play through later this month, so I'm actually really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been great. We're 13 days, almost the halfway mark, and I got like 7 or 8 nights that I've streamed shoot 'em up so far. So it's been a blast. It's been great.
Yeah. Yep. So we've been, and people in the chat on the various channels have been like, I've heard them, be like, I never play shmups. I don't think I like them. And then turns out they're like, this actually looks pretty good. Like your friend, he was in Pickle's chat the other day. And then last night, you and he got together and you introduced him to a bunch of new shmups and stuff. So that poor bastard, his only like contact with shmups was Silver Surfer, but
oh, I know. I felt so bad. He's like, ever since I played Silver Surfer, which was my first ever shooter, I just thought I hated that genre. And it's like, oh man, everything was fine. And he was enjoying the games, but it wasn't until we got to Ikaruga that he was like, holy fuck. Like this is like, and I'm like, yeah, this is what a shoot 'em up. This is how good a shoot 'em up can be because it's such a well-made game. Everything is concise and the strategies are perfect and it adds puzzle and strategy elements to it. And he liked that a lot. He downloaded it as soon as our stream was over. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, we're going to be talking about for our game spotlight, a classic shmup series. And it also happens to be this week's score chase that Dale puts together every year. There it is. Josh is holding it up. Ryden, the classic shmup series that started in 1990 by Seibu Kahatsu. This like I said, classic shmup series. If you're familiar with like the 1942 series, it's very much a traditional shmup shmup game, kind of like that, where it's as the series goes on, it gets a little more fantasy and out there and whatnot, but its origins are pretty much kind of grounded, sort of, kind of in reality. You're a fighter jet. And the enemies kind of look somewhat a little bit mechanical and based in reality, but you got tanks and giant like jets and shit and planes that come at you with obviously exaggerated for effect, but not like wild fantastical shmups, at least to start with, by any stretch. We are playing Ryden, the original one. Like I said, came out in 1990. You can buy it for like $8 on Arcade Archives on the Switch. And you can, like, almost every console has a port of Ryden or one of the Ryden games. The 360, which Josh, you're holding up some cases and stuff. The 360 had a few Ryden games, I think. Like Ryden Fighters Jet, Ryden Fighters Aces, like all that stuff. But man, probably I'm looking at the wiki here. It looks like maybe 15 games in the series, and not all of them are awesome. But there isn't really a stinker in the whole bunch. They're all very playable.
That's true. Yeah.
Ryden Fighters.
Yeah,
Aces. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Raiden Fighters, Aces, and those types of games like on 360, they're okay. They're not anything spectacular. I thought Raiden 5 was a bit of a disappointment. There really wasn't anything new that it was bringing to the table. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what you're if you look at the retrospective of the entire series, it's like, did Raiden 1, like you had said, it's kind of like 1941. It's a little bit like it's kind of like this. It's a little bit like that. Did it really bring anything new to the table? Not really, but it sure as fuck did perfect it. Like it made it very concise memorization. It's not an unfair game to the point of like it's just cheating to kill you over and over again. If you die, you're dying because you screwed up again, and you just really need to get into a routine. You got to figure out the best patterns. Reminds me a bit of Image Fight in that kind of perspective, but it's a really well made. The original is a really well made game, and what they built off of it after that. There's a Raiden 2, and honestly, my favorite in the series is probably Raiden 3 on the PS2. This game is spectacular.
It is.
introduced a twin sticks variety of it where you can control both ships with the sticks. And so you're moving around and you shoot and bomb with your LNRs. And was that a well done aspect of the game that I'd never seen before. And I thought that was really cool. That's my favorite one in the series. But the original is excellent. And yeah, I mean, Tuesday night, I streamed the TurboGrafx version, I streamed the Super Nintendo version, and then I streamed the Genesis version. So there's your 3 16-bit ports. And it's interesting to me that I would consider the Turbo version the best.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. Oh, my mic is about to fall over. Sorry. But each version's a little bit different. I'd say the Super Nintendo one is the slowest and the easiest. This is pretty much, if you're going to look at the 16-bit era, here's your complete description of each. Super Nintendo was the slowest and the easiest. Yep. The Genesis was in my opinion, was the sloppiest port. It's just like the graphics were really tinny. There was 7 shades of brown.
Has
like
the
whatever.
Jankiest music, yeah.
It was janky, yeah. And then the Turbo version was really close to what you'd see in the arcade. And it was just really close, really tight. The music was tight. The sprites were smaller, but then they put so much more detail into them instead of being big and ugly and wide like on the Super Nintendo version. Yeah. It's awesome. And no matter how you play it, you're going to have a good time. It's just be prepared to get your ass kicked because it's tough.
Yeah, totally. So I don't know that I have a lot more to say about Ryden. There are plenty of secrets and strategies to discover. There are like hidden fairies that you can find, so you can just like shoot this random spot on the screen because you'll be firing and you'll be like, why is my bullet not going past this spot?
Yep.
Oh, it's because there's a hidden fairy there. So you keep hitting it, fairy pops out, you get 10,000 points. It's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Lots of little secrets, little nuggets like that I love about shmups when they hide that kind of stuff in there. But other than that, it's a very, typically at least, it's a very traditional series. Like as far as shmups go, it's not bullet hell. But man, those bullets will get you. Those fucking tanks, those damn tanks every time.
Definitely. I would consider all the games like Raiden 4 and 5, those would be considered bullet hell type games. But because they kind of took that engine and they're like, well, everybody else is doing it. We can still make a ride. We can still make money off this Ryden franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, the originals, those bullets, dude, they really blend in with the background too in some of those spots. Because you'll be looking, you'll be like, what hit me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and also,
go ahead.
Oops, sorry. The Super Nintendo version, if you want to feel good about yourself playing a Ryden game, the Super Nintendo version, when you die, you immediately pop back up. It does not make you go back to start over. So if you want to see more of the game, I got to like the 4th stage on my Twitch stream on Tuesday night on the Super Nintendo version. I'm like, I've never seen this stage before. So it does not make you start the stage over or go back to a checkpoint. You just pop right back in. So
nice. Yeah. It's so strange how, I like the Super Nintendo just fine. It's a great little console, but man, it is by far the weakest when it comes to shmups.
Well, it depends. It's and I don't want to go on a long tangent here, but when you have games that are developed across the board, it's like an arcade game, and then you have the Genesis version, the Super Nintendo version, and then the Turbo version a lot of times. The Turbo and the Genesis have faster processors. But when they're a game specifically made, like they're like, we're going to build this from scratch for the Super Nintendo, like I would consider Firepower 2000 and Axelay. Those games are fucking mind-blowing. Great shoot 'em ups.
Yep.
Specifically designed for this console, and it works. It just works really well.
Yeah, but back to Ryden, I think you're right. Like Ryden 5 is one of the weaker ones. I was pretty disappointed in it. Especially, isn't that the game that has all the chatter in it? Like just nonstop dialogue, like in the background going on. I feel like they had like some sort of storyline going on in the background where there's just constant chatter.
Which one was that? The
Ryden 5, the most recent one. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is with all this chatter? I just didn't understand it. But anyway,
it's like they try to do that with like the Mega Man X games towards the end, and you're just like, shut up and let me play.
Yeah. So like I said, it is available on the Switch for the Arcade Archives series for like $8, I think. Well worth it. Really good port. Lots of options in there for you to mess with if you're like a newbie to shmups and stuff. So you can like ratchet down the difficulty. You can turn on the auto fire, even though I found that didn't really help me much. I would recommend turning on the auto fire because these old man crippled arthritic hands were dying after a while.
But if you play them on this, guess what you got?
Turbo switch, boy.
Turbo switches, boy. And the Super Nintendo one, you can also hold down the controller button to auto fire as well, automatically. Built in. You don't even need turbo switches on a Super Nintendo. Fuck you, NEC, your stupid idea.
All right, with that, it's time for the last question. All right, going to come up with the last question off the top of my head. Give me, Josh, since we just mentioned it, the best Super Nintendo shmup.
Probably Axelay. I think it's Konami, the Wizards of Konami, when they still were close ties and had a development team called Treasure, all in-house. Axelay, dude, it's one of my favorites. I love, and a lot of people say it's just a lot of smoke and mirrors because is the game really that great? With that mode 7, that like really cool like aspect when you do the vertical stages, I think it is still a very good game. In my heart, it kind of is a spiritual continuation of the Life Force slash Salamander games. Yeah. Because you get the vertical and the vertical and the horizontal all in one game, and it works really well. I loved Axelay, I'd say, or Oxley, however you want to pronounce it. That'd be my favorite Super Nintendo shoot 'em up. It's fantastic. It's so good.
All right, I like it, man.
What about you?
Fuck, man, I don't know. Other than Axelay, I don't. Yeah. Every time I play a shmup on Super Nintendo, I'm like, this just doesn't feel right to me. You know,
there's like UN Squadron. There's Phalanx. Phalanx is okay.
Yeah, and then I think of like R-Type on Super Nintendo, and I'm like, ugh.
What Super R-Type 3 is pretty good. R-Type 3 is really good, actually.
Yeah, and then I think of Darius Twin on Super Nintendo. I'm like, slow and kind of shitty, and so it's hard for me to pick one. So I'd have to go with Axelay as well, because
I got a stack of one. There's like Thunder Spirits was on Super Nintendo, which was not very good. D-Force was another like kind of generic shoot 'em up. Wasn't there also an Aleste game?
God, and
Strike Gunner,
pretty
sure. Like that.
And I think that one was also not great, you know. So
it's not bad, but yeah, it's funny trying those types of games or seeing like them online, and then you're like, God, that's like Blazing Lasers, man. Why even try? Just make games for the Turbo instead.
Exactly. And after growing up with the Turbo graphics and the just shmup smorgasbord that we had, it's hard to go to even the Genesis, which has some wonderful shmups. They just don't feel right to me compared to the TurboGrafx and then later the Saturn and stuff. So that is it for us. If you want more of our stuff, you can go to MoJoMenace.com. On the front page there, you'll find links to our Discord, our forums, and our merch store. So do that. YouTube.com/MoJoMenace, where you might be watching this right now. Who knows? And then I already mentioned Twitch.tv/MoJoMenace, and then all the social medias, Mojo Menace. Josh, where can they find you?
Well, if they'd like to continue the conversation with me about like Ryden or D-Force or other really cool shoot 'em ups in the 16-bit era, you can always tweet at me at Twitter at _Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore, as it is the most important underscore in all of the internet.
That's it for us. We'll see you next week. Bye.